My name is Adam. I used to be a detective, and in my time, I learned that the most dangerous crimes aren't the ones that splash blood across the walls, but the ones that seep quietly into the foundations of a life, poisoning the well of someone's reality. Today, I want to share a case that wasn't about a body, but about a haunting. It's a story about a ghost who was very much alive, and the family she decided belonged to her. This wasn't on Maple Street. This was on Crestview Lane. And the obsession didn't come from a stranger lurking in the shadows. It came from the sunlight, from the perfect housewife next door. Her name was Helen Vance. To the outside world, to everyone on Crestview Lane, Helen was the neighborhood anchor. She organized the block parties, remembered every birthday, brought over soup when you were sick. She lived directly across the street from the Peterson family. Mark, Sarah, and their little girl, Chloe, who was 6. Helen was a widow, polite, gentle, always with a kind word. She was, in every conceivable way, the last person you would ever suspect. That was her camouflage. The Petersons were friendly with her, of course. Everyone was. Sarah Peterson even considered Helen a friend. They'd have coffee. Helen would sometimes watch Chloe for an hour if Sarah had to run a quick errand. It was all very normal. The first thing that struck Sarah as odd, and she told me this much later with a hollow look in her eyes, was the lemonade. Helen made this homemade lemonade, tart and sweet. She'd bring a pitcher over every Saturday afternoon. Sarah never asked for it. It just appeared, and Sarah, not wanting to be rude, always accepted it. But then she noticed Helen would watch from her kitchen window, until Sarah poured a glass and took a sip. It was a small thing, a quirk, but it made Sarah's skin prickle. Then came the gifts for Chloe. Not toys or clothes, but specific things. A hairbrush exactly like the one Chloe had lost the week before. A replacement for a favorite sippy cup that had cracked. How did Helen know? Sarah mentioned these losses in passing. Just neighborly chatter. But Helen remembered. And she provided. It felt less like kindness and more like curation. Like Helen was quietly maintaining an inventory of their lives. The real unease began with the sounds. Sarah started hearing faint noises in her house when she knew she was alone. The soft click of a door closing, a floorboard creaking in a silent hallway. She'd call out, "Hello?" Nothing. She blamed the old house, the pipes. But the feeling of another presence became a constant hum in the background of her days. She told Mark. He was sympathetic but logical. "It's an old house, honey. It settles." The incidents escalated, but in a way that defied easy explanation. Sarah's personal things began to migrate. Her reading glasses would be on her nightstand when she went to sleep, and in the kitchen drawer when she woke up. She'd find her favorite pen in Chloe's room. Her perfume, which she kept on her dresser, would be slightly moved, the cap not quite tight. She started to question her own sanity. Was she misplacing things? Was she so stressed she was forgetting? Mark, concerned, suggested she see a doctor about her memory. That isolation, that gaslighting of the self, is where the real damage starts. The breaking point was the photograph. Sarah had a framed picture of her late mother on her dresser. One morning the photo was gone. She tore the house apart. Nothing. A week later it reappeared. But it was different. The frame had been polished to a high shine, and tucked behind the photo was a small pressed violet. Sarah had never felt such a cold, profound violation. Someone had not only taken this sacred object, they had handled it, cared for it, and returned it as if it were a shared treasure. She knew, then. It wasn't her mind. It was an intrusion. She called us. My partner and I responded. We found nothing. No forced entry, no fingerprints out of place. The house was impeccably secure. We filed a report, offered sympathy, and left. I could see the doubt in my partner's eyes. Another anxious housewife. But I saw the terror in Sarah's. It was real. We just couldn't see the source. What happened next, I only pieced together later, after it was all over. Sarah, desperate, set a trap. She bought a small, inexpensive brooch, a gaudy thing she'd never wear. She placed it prominently in her jewelry box. She marked its exact position with a hair. She told no one. Not Mark, not us. She just waited. 2 days later, the brooch was gone. Sarah's heart was a drum in her chest. This was proof. Concrete proof. But of what? Who? She had an idea. A terrible, unbelievable idea. She walked across the street to Helen's house. Helen answered, smiling, welcoming her in for tea. Sarah, her voice trembling, made small talk. Her eyes scanned the immaculate living room, and there, on a shelf beside a porcelain shepherdess, was the brooch, displayed like a trophy. Sarah confronted her, her voice shaking. Helen, that's my brooch. Helen didn't flinch. She didn't look guilty or shocked. She looked confused, then sad, in a soft tone. Oh, Sarah, no, dear. This was my grandmother's. It looks similar, I'm sure. She picked it up, her touch tender. See? It's even engraved with her initials. She showed Sarah the back. There was an engraving. Helen Vance. Sarah stammered an apology and fled. She was shattered. Was she truly losing her mind? Had she imagined the whole thing? The psychological mastery of it was devastating. Helen had anticipated her. She had prepared a counter-move. She was playing chess while Sarah was falling apart. The case went cold for us, but it was burning Sarah's life to the ground. Her marriage strained under the weight of her paranoia. She became a recluse in her own home. Then, 6 months later, a miracle. Or a catastrophe. The Petersons' basement flooded. During the cleanup, a worker moving a section of drywall found a small space behind it, a hollow. And inside that hollow was a collection. Sarah's missing reading glasses, the cap from her favorite pen, a scarf she'd lost, and the original unengraved backplate from her mother's photograph frame. It was a shrine to her daily life. We had our evidence. We brought Helen in, and that's when I saw the true architecture of the obsession. In interrogation, Helen was serene. She admitted it all, readily, without a hint of malice. She had been entering the Peterson home for over 2 years. She had a key. She'd taken Sarah's spare from its hiding spot under a flower pot, and had a copy made. She'd come and go, mostly when Sarah was out, but sometimes she confessed with a chilling calm. When Sarah was upstairs sleeping, she would tidy up, rearrange Sarah's closet by color, do the dishes. She'd read Sarah's journals. She'd watch Chloe sleep. Why? I asked her, leaning forward. Why would you do this? She looked at me with genuine, heartbreaking sincerity. Do what? I was helping. Sarah is so overwhelmed. Mark doesn't see it. I was just looking after them. They're my family. I was just being part of the household. There was no anger, no sexual motive, no intent to harm. In her mind, she had seamlessly integrated herself into the Peterson family unit. She wasn't stealing things to hurt Sarah. She was collecting tokens of her belonging. She wasn't violating a boundary. She was dissolving it. The Petersons weren't victims to her. They were her home, and she was merely occupying it. She was diagnosed later with a profound delusional disorder, a fixed belief system completely insulated from reality. The law struggled with her. She was ultimately committed, not imprisoned. But the aftermath, that's what stays with me. The Petersons moved, of course, far away, but the damage was metaphysical. Sarah told me in a final interview, her voice a ghost of itself. The worst part isn't that she was in my house. The worst part is that she took my reality, detective. How do you get that back? How do you ever feel solid ground under your feet again? Helen Vance wasn't a monster in the dark. She was the friendly face in the daylight, who believed, with every fiber of her being, that your life was hers to share. And that belief was a weapon more subtle and corrosive than any knife. It didn't break down doors. It dissolved the very idea of a door having any meaning at all. The true crime wasn't trespass. It was the annihilation of a person's sense of what is real and what is theirs. And for that there is no fitting sentence. See you in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe.